Hell, Dominators, Domination tips, reporting right back for duty. This time with another guide or another tutorial for you, and this is probably the most interesting and the most informative tutorial because it's dealing about a very essential aspect of the game. We will talk about our War Academy, especially about our tactics. Which and how the tactics are getting used, some recommendations how to use them. I have prepared some graphics and even some recordings of some attacks. So guys, it's already about 1825, so it took me 6 hours to get all the statistics, all the informations, to make the graphics and to record the videos for you. I will show you later in the video. And hopefully this video is informing and entertaining you guys. We are starting with our tactics first, and I will just explain it to you by showing you the library. And right here in the library we see chapter 3, which is getting available in the medieval age, and our third book, the battle tactics book. I'm quite sure nearly every one of you has researched this this specific chapter, which is very important for your troops and for your attacks. But for those guys of you which have not done, it's a very strong recommendation. Research the battle tactics chapter. We will take a closer look. Chapter 1, plus 20% duration of all of your war tactics. That's very much. Plus 20% duration, especially for the tactics like protection, which have a duration of already 40 seconds. The 20% is a huge increase. Chapter 2, plus 10% damage and healing amount of all of your tactics. Chapter 3, plus 1 war tactics capacity. One of the most important chapters of all in the library, I'm quite sure. Chapter 4, plus 1 traitor from Betrayal, and plus Chapter 5, plus 20% hit points for your Decoy tactics. So that's the first very important thing about the tactics in Dominations. The second important thing is, with upgrade 4.6, the University got released and revealed in the game. And from this point on, we got a nerf system. Before, there was a very strong tactic, and I also felt very comfortable, and I was very used to play this tactic. It was the Demolition tactic, to just click on a building and get rid of it. But with the University, it's getting very intransparent. You are unpredictable. It's getting very unpredictable whether and how to use the Demolition tactic, because there is a new certain aspect. You can just research very many, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, currently 500 researches which will last for more than 2 years in total when you're researching all, and you can just strengthen up nearly everything, your economic powers, your offensive powers, and also your defensive powers. And when we are talking about now about our defensive powers, we have to see something special. You see over here, probably it's only one example. It's completely the same for all other researches. We see our mortar hit points, and you have 10 stages of research. Every of these stages will increase the mortar hit points by 3%. That means in total there are 10 researches with 3%, so 30% increasable or additional hit points for the mortars. Exactly the same for our towers and for the cannon towers. That means we can strengthen up our defensive powers by 30%. Now when we look at our tactics, we have here Leonardo chapter 4, Sabotage tactics. It can also be researched by 10 times by 3%. So also the tactic Sabotage is getting strengthened up by 30% more duration. And we have stage 3 over here by King Sejong, our protection tactic, and it can also be increased by 30% at all. But now you see over here at Suleiman stage 2 our Demolition tactic, and now see the Demolition tactic only gets increased by 1% 10 times. That means in total not 30% but only 10%. That means a completely nerf down of this tactic, so that in total you can just not use it anymore in this effective way like you could do it before. And that's very disappointing for me, because some of you probably also have used the Demolition tactics and know what I'm talking about. Now guys, we will just go in some graphics where I can explicitly explain it to you, how the tactics are working. And when we are coming to the Demolition tactic, I will show you why it's so bad, why it got so bad to use it now, and in former times it was quite better. Here we are, guys, starting with the perfect or with the correct order of all tactics in the game. I will just show and explain them to you in the same order like they are getting available for you in the game. When you are in the classical age and building your war academy, the first thing you are getting available is the first aid and the barrage tactic. So we will just start with the barrage tactic, and you see right over here it has a range of 3. Looking down at the picture, this is not a very huge area, and it's a simple tactic to damage enemy buildings and enemy troops. Damage, you see over here some values. These values are split up for every upgrade of ages. You see over here upgrade in the classical age, the medieval, gunpowder, enlightenment, industrial, and for the last stage in the global age. And at every stage we have 2 values. That's coming from the library research I already told to you, because in the library chapter 2 I think you can just research plus additional 10% damage of your tactic. So that means if you have not researched it, you are right with this left value, and if you have researched, just look only at the right values, at the behind values of all. Because I think nearly every player in the game which is skilled or which is at a certain point has researched these values. I will just only talk about the right boosted values with the library research, and we see we are starting with 468 and ending with 1417 damage of this tactic. That means in a logical order that the tactic is just very effective if you are using against enemy infantry, against enemy donated marksmen, and against enemy donated cannons, which can be a pain in the ass if you are activating the town center and these donated troops are getting spawned. At the other side, these values over here mean that this tactic is very ineffective against enemy defensive, economic buildings, and even against cavalry or tanks. So guys, use this tactic only if you are using it against enemy infantry and against enemy infantry and not against enemy cavalry, because it's quite useless. There is also another point I mentioned. You can just use it if you are using it at that stage. You are just getting available the decoy tactics in the industrial age, and if you are in the industrial age using the barrage tactics, you can just use it in combination with the decoy. But if you are not, I'm not using the barrage tactics at all. Only I think in the early game the barrage tactics are very effective, and in the late games there are more powerful tactics to use. But that I wanted to write down. So in summary, the barrage tactics is more something for early game players than for late game players. I have a little record. I recorded a video for you, and I did this video only to show you how the tactic works. It was not a good attack, and in this attack I used 4 or 5. I tried to use 4 or 5 tactics at all, so just only see how the look at how the tactics are working, and just not rate how good I used them. Okay. Here we are inside the attack. I'm using the tactic, and you see the cavalry nearly did not get hurt at all, and so it's very much more important to use it at enemy infantry troops. The next tactic, which is getting available for you also in the classical age instantly when you have built the war academy, is the first aid tactic. It has a range of 5. When you look down at the picture, you see it's a much bigger range than the barrage tactic we talked about, and you see it's just a healing amount of 3%. And a duration of 9 seconds. So we are again talking about the boosted values, because all of you, I think, have researched the war tactics chapter in your library, and we see that when we are upgrading to the medieval age, we will get additional seconds of duration. When we are upgrading to the gunpowder age, we get another 2 seconds. Additional 2 seconds, but then when we are upgrading to the enlightenment age, we are getting no more seconds of duration, but we get another additional percentage of healing, and that's very essential. Because I will explain later to you. Then you see in the industrial and even in the global upgrade, we only get some additional seconds. And now my recommendation is following. You see that we have a percentage of amount of hit points which are getting healed by this tactic. That also means that this tactic is especially very effective for high hit point troops, such as generals, tanks, and even more especially for MK tanks, for heavy tanks from your factory, because all of these troops have have in common that they have very, very many hit points. And if you have very many hit points, and from a very high number, 4% are more than from a lower number. That means if you are healing infantry guys or even marksman guys, this 4% are just ridiculous. But if you are healing a heavy tank with 20,000 of hit points and you are healing 4%, you will heal about 800 hit points every second if the tank is quite in the range. And 800 hit points healed in 1 second is much more than even, I think, 9 or 10 healing cards could do. So I want to highlight that this is especially a tactic for the late game. You are just unlocking this tactic very early in the game, but this is a tactic for late game players also, because in the late game the troops are getting much stronger, getting more hit points, and the more hit points the troops have, the more the 4 or 3% percentage of healing are. There's also another point I mentioned for myself. I think it's very effective if you are playing the healing tactic when you have the Brandenburg Gate, because when you have the Brandenburg Gate, all of your factory troops get additional 20% more damage, and also the heavy tanks get more damage. And when you are now using the heavy tanks, which are boosted by the Brandenburg Gate in combination with the healing tactic, these tanks have very much power and are getting healed very, very high from the healing tactic. There's one negative aspect about this tactic: there is no movement. You see down here, when I place this tactic, there is a specific area or location which gets healed for about 9, 11, 13 or even 16 seconds, and then the tactic ends. When your troops are now moving out of this area, there is no more additional healing for them. So if you are using the tactic at the outside of a base, your troops will very, very fast move outside of this range. My recommendation for you is, if you are rallying inside a base, where very many of the defensive buildings are staying, and there is a very high amount of damage which is getting dealt to your troops, and especially there in the inside of the base, there I would use the healing tactic. Now we see the video. Here I have the video for you. I trained this heavy tank army only to show it to you. Ordinary, I'm not playing with heavy tanks. You see, they are only at stage 1, but I wanted to show you when to use, not when my troops are outside. I'm waiting until the walls are broken down. And now when there is access to the base, I'm just rallying inside and using my healing tactic. The third tactic, which is getting available to you, is probably the most used and even the most helpful tactic at the complete game. We are talking about the Sabotage tactic, and it's getting available to you also in the Classical Age, but you have to do your first upgrade on your War Tactics Academy. That means if you are upgrading in the Global, Industrial, Enlightenment, Gunpowder, Medieval, Classical Age. Yes, in the Classical Age you will have a duration about 9 seconds. Then in the Medieval 11, Gunpowder 13, 18, a very huge gap of 5 seconds. In the Enlightenment, additional 1 second in the Industrial and another 1 second in the Global Age. So at least the Sabotage tactic will last about 20 seconds. We have a range of 2, only of 2 fields, but that is completely wrong. I will show you later in my video why it cannot be a simple range of 2. It has to be more. But nevertheless, let's go to the recommendation. And I wrote down already, you can, if the defensive buildings are placed very bad, like you can see in the picture and behind, you see, here are 1, 2, 3, 4 buildings, and I'm just disabling all of these 4 buildings with one Sabotage tactic. And you can at least disable 4 up to 5 buildings with one tactic, and that's very effective if you are using in a combat or even in a fight. Here I wrote down choose connection points as a location. Yes, if you have some connection points where some buildings are connected to another building, this is the most effective place to use the Sabotage tactic, because like I mentioned, or like I told you, you can just disable more than one building. There's another useful way of using. Use in combination with rally cooldown. So when you are just rallying inside another base and your troops are spreading out, then you can just look, okay, where are the defensive buildings which are getting dangerous to me, and then wait as long as possible before you use your sabotage, because when you're using a sabotage, it's depending on which stage your sabotage is, but this stage your sabotage is, that much seconds you have before the buildings will spawn or even shoot again. And therefore I'm really often waiting very, very long. Even I let the mortars shoot one time more, then I disable them, and then I just easily can wait before my cooldown gets of the rally button gets away, and I can just rally again. So you can just very cool play with your cooldown of the rally and the sabotage tactic. There is also another problem, or one negative aspect about the sabotage tactic. If you are using the sabotage tactic for the town center, very often I see players, like I did in the video, I sabotaged this place over here to get the mortar, the sniper tower, and the town center sabotaged or even disabled. And the problem is, if you have done this, and if you are recognizing, okay, the time is going out and I have no more time to go, I am again disabling the same point. The problem is the town center will not be affected anymore. You have to choose another location to get the town center disabled another time. That's the problem. And yes, that's the town center location problem. Let's go into the video. I have two videos for you guys. First, this is this is a farming video where you can just easily see that the range of the sabotage tactic has to be more than 2. In the game, in every statistic there stands 2, but I'm putting my sabotage tactic right here on the market, and I'm able to disable this redoubt, air defense, and even the cannon tower at once. You see? I just disable all of these 3 buildings at once, and this market already has an area of 3. Here are 3 fields or 3 units, and the statistics say that the sabotage tactic only has a range of 2. But when I place it perfectly over here, I disable all 3 of these buildings, and that's very helpful. I have another video for you. Here you can see an attack of mine on a loot attack on a very high base of a global age player, and you can see how I'm using the sabotage tactic. I think it's, here are also again many more tactics, but I will explain later to you when we are at these tactics. Decoy, okay. Here. Okay, so now my troops are getting into the inside of the base, and now the problem is there are very many defensive buildings, and I don't want them to shoot. Therefore, I'm just disabling 2 defensive buildings at once, the fort and the mortar with 1 sabotage, and over here the next 2 defensive buildings. If I have it would even be better if I would have disabled the over here to get the air defense with me, but I have no planes at this stage anymore, so I disabled the bunker and even the mortar at once. And now these buildings are disabled, and I can just attack without getting attacked from these buildings. Here is the 4th available tactic in the game. We are talking about the protection tactic, getting available in the medieval age when you have done your 2nd upgrade of your war academy, and then the research or the upgrade in the blacksmith. It has a range of 3, like you can see down here in the picture. It gets a damage reduction of 50% at all. You can just not increase this value. And it has a duration of 30 in the medieval, I think, 33 in the gunpowder, 43 in the enlightenment, 46 in the industrial, and 48 in total in the global age. And there is only one strong recommendation, because this tactic is very powerful and there are nearly no disadvantages at all about this tactic. Just use it after an area rally location. You see it right down here in the picture. When you can just rally your troops on a building or on a wall so that they are just attacking it, or you can just rally your troops at an area so that your troops all are coming together and staying at a very close point. And that's the perfect location when you have done this to put your protection tactic on them, because then you are able to get all of your troops right within the range. Here, guys, we have a former World War attack of myself, and we see I'm just spawning all of my troops. And now when I've spawned all of my troops, there is an access inside the base because I used my mercenaries to get a breach in the wall. And I'm waiting for the cooldown of my rally button. Now my rally has cooled down, and now I'm rallying all of my troops right to the inside. That is an area rally. I did not rally on a building, I rallied at an area. And here I'm using the protection tactic. Now I have all of my troops, not the mercenaries, but all of my important troops ready to get them protected by the protection tactic. Oh, now it's getting interesting, guys. The gunpowder age tactic, the demolition tactic, which I talked about to you in the former of the video. It's the third upgrade of the War Academy, and you see it's a single target tactic which you can use to destroy enemy buildings. It's not usable at enemy troops, and you see we have a damage from 1584, all boosted status values, up to 2563, gunpowder, enlightenment, industrial, and global age stage. And here we have the recommendation. It's very effective against specific defending buildings like mortars, redoubts, and even cannon towers, because if you are your stage of research is high enough, you can just get rid of these buildings with just easily one using of the demolition tactic. But the problem is it's very ineffective against the town center and economic buildings because they have far more hit points. So don't use it to get some resources from a mill, from a market, or from an oil well, because that's just wasting of a tactic. And even at the town center, you see 1500 up to 2500 damage, and the town center has far more than 20,000 hit points. That means in total you would have to take 8 tactics or even 9 to get down a town center, and that's just another waste of tactics. Another problem which occurred is due to the update 4.6, and that's the unpredictable since the university release, because let's talk about the defensive buildings. In former times, it was just easily to do some mathematical research and see, okay, when I'm in the Enlightenment age and have fully upgraded my dynamite, I can just easily use it to destroy a gunpowder age mortar. And it's exactly the same when you are in the gunpowder. You could just easily tell, okay, that's medieval maxed catapult, I can just use one demolition to get rid of it. If you are in the industrial age, you can just easily say, okay, that's an Enlightenment age mortar. And if you are in the global age, you can say, okay, that's a level 6 industrial mortar, I can use one demolition to get rid of it. But since the release of the university, it's just very not anymore obvious how many hit points this mortar or even the cannon tower or something like this has. And so very often I experienced using my demolition tactic, and the mortar was not destroyed, it survived with only 20-30 hit points, but that's not these 20-30 hit points are not the problem. The problem is the mortar is shooting anymore. It's just still shooting again, and you can just not kill it. You have to use your planes or waste other units, and therefore it got very, very unpredictable how and when to use this sabotage, this demolition tactic. Therefore, I think it's a very big nerf, and from the 4.6 update, it's nearly not at all playable anymore, and I'm just not using it anymore, only when the enemy has very, very low defensive buildings, when I can very easily and very sure say, okay, I just only have to use one demolition to get rid of it. Here we have the video, guys, and here in the video it's exactly the same thing. This dude is in the industrial age, but his mortars are still on the gunpowder age level. So they are 2 levels below me. I'm in the industrial age and I have maxed out my demolition tactics, so I can very sure say, okay, I can just get rid of these mortars with only one tactic. Therefore, I'm using, to show it to you, the demolition tactic. Over here, I choose the demolition, go on the mortar, and bam, the mortar is done. Here we are at our 6th available tactic, the Betrayal tactic, getting available in the Enlightenment Age with the 4th upgrade of our War Academy. It has a range of 2 and it generates some traitors. So enemy units will turn around or will turn and get to your units. The problem about this unit is you will just see over here the traitor hit points are getting reduced and even the traitor damage is getting reduced. At the first stage you just will get a traitor which has only half of his hit points and 80% of his damage. And if you are increasing or upgrading your Betrayal tactic, the traitor you are generating are getting more, they will have more hit points and even more damage of their ordinary damage. So let's come to my recommendation, which is logically only after these facts over here. You will just see that you are able to get massive reinforcements. The higher you are in the higher age, the better the reinforcements could be, because if you are in the industrial age or even in the global age, you are able to get some enemy oh, sorry, my handy fall down. To get some, wow, to get some enemy MK heavy tanks, and they are very powerful. I would just not use this Betrayal tactic on enemy infantry or anything else. That's very waste of this tactic. Only use it for MK2 tanks or MK3, MK1, whatever. Or use it on heavy tanks, or at least you can also use it on ordinary tanks, but then these tanks are very weak and nearly not usable at all. So I wrote down late game tactic, because the later the game is getting, the more stronger the reinforcements are which you could get by the enemy. You can just also use it in a decoy combo. The decoy is the last available tactic, so we will talk about it later in the video. But if you have the decoy and get the attraction of all of the enemy troops in range, when they have just rallied the enemy troops, you can just choose which of one you want to take, and then you can just put the Betrayal tactic on it and choose very perfectly which unit you are getting. I wrote down a negative aspect or a disadvantage is you have to use it wisely, because very often when you are using and there are a bunch of enemy troops, you are just getting the wrong enemy troops, and you wanted to get the tank, but you are getting 2 infantry troops and they are instantly dead, and so you have wasted 1 complete tactic for nothing. Therefore use it very wisely. Another point is you have to, the traitor are getting nerfed, like I told you. Their hit points are getting nerfed and even their damage getting nerfed, so at all the traitors you are generating by this tactic are more some meat shields, but than some effective attackers, and therefore it's important to get some heavy tanks, because their damage and their hit points are getting reduced. Your healing cuts can heal them, but their damage cannot be restored, and therefore the traitors which are getting generated are only meat shields and not some valuable attackers. Here we have another World War, former World War attack of me, and you just see, oh, I'm just in the YouTube video. And you just see my troops are getting spawned. And when my troops now are spawned, there are some enemy troops spawned also down there, and I'm just focusing and takes the enemy tanks. I got some ordinary tanks and 1 heavy tank. That's the way of working for the Betrayal tactic. We are coming to our last common tactic. After this, we will just also talk about our Blitzkrieg from the World Wonders and about Strengths of the Gladiator. But these both tactics, the Strengths of the Gladiator and the Blitzkrieg, are some special tactics, because not every player in the game has them. Only the players which choose the Industrial Age Brandenburg Gate and the, I think, Classical Age Colosseum. The Decoy tactic is our 7th tactic, I think, and you are just unlocking it in the Industrial Age with the 5th upgrade of your War Academy. It has a huge range of 7, you can see it down here in the picture, there's a huge range. This range got decreased. In former times, the decoys had a range of 20, but you could not place it anywhere. Now you can place it anywhere, even in the enemy base, where some buildings are staying. And so my recommendation is coming. The decoy tactic is one of the most useful tactics at all. The players of you which are just using have probably recognized, but some other players, I heard in my alliance very often, wow, decoys is a very bad tactic, but it is not. Just try it out, guys, because the decoys, when you are placing them, are instantly getting the attention of all enemy troops in the range. So all defenders, all shooting buildings, everything will just shoot only on these decoys and not on your ordinary troops. So when you recognize within the battle, oh shit, my troops are getting overwhelmed, there are too many defenders or even too many mortars are shooting on me or whatever, just use your decoy tactics to immediately get the attention of the enemy troops away from your main troops to the decoys. That's very helpful, and that very often saved my ass in the multiplayer and even in the World War games. Another good aspect is, I wrote down possible combination with Betrayal, Barrage, and Blitzkrieg, and Planes. And planes, yes. Because when you are just getting the attention of the enemy troops, the enemy defenders will move very, very much faster than they ordinary do. So when they are ordinary going like this fast, when they are inside of the range of the betrayal, they will go very, very fast to the betrayal tactic and just rally over here, fighting the betrayal tactic. And then you have all of the enemy troops right over here at a specific point where you can just choose, okay, I want to take one of these traitors. I want to just use my barrage tactic to get rid of all of them. I use my planes to fly around and kill all of these troops. So that's very useful. And you could also, what wrote I down? Barrage, Betrayal, Blitzkrieg. You can also use it with Blitzkrieg. There's another additional point I wanted to tell you. There is one big disadvantage because you have to be very, very careful where to place this decoy tactics, because these decoy tactics work as ordinary troops. So if you are placing right inside the base, they will also trigger new defensive buildings, which you have before not triggered. So my troops are down here. They are just only triggering these buildings over here, and now I placed my decoy tactics, and you see this bunker is getting triggered, and if I would have placed the decoy tactics right over here, close to the town center, I also would have triggered the town center. Therefore, be very careful where to place it, because you are triggering more defensive buildings than you would have done ordinarily without decoys. And if you want to avoid this, you can just put Blitzkrieg somewhere so that no more defensive buildings are spawning enemies, and then you can use decoys to get the attraction of the defensive buildings and of the defenders which have already spawned. So you stop new defenders spawning and get the old defenders to a specific position, and therefore I wrote down good combination with the Blitzkrieg tactic and even with the decoy tactic. There is another very big disadvantage, guys. Take care that your betrayal tactic is not getting placed next to a cannon tower. You see right over here the cannon tower, and the cannon towers have a very high hit point damage, and these betrayal tactics only have a hit point amount from 28,800 up to 40,200, and that's very, very little. Because the cannon towers already can do 10,000 per hit damage to your decoy troops. So these decoy troops ordinary will last about 48 up to 52 seconds, but if they are getting damaged too bad, they will just end very, very much earlier. So make sure to not place it inside the range of a cannon tower. There's another very interesting aspect. You can just put the decoys at a wall. Yes, just you heard it right. You can just put it at a wall. That can be a very big advantage as well as a disadvantage, because when you are just placing it at a free location, all enemies will come and rally beside your decoy tactics. But if you are placing it at a wall, the enemy troops will look at your decoys but just not rally over there. They will stay at the point where they are in the situation. That means that you are just not able to take betrayal on them because they are not rallying, but the troops are not moving. So in some specific cases, I think it could be really helpful to do your decoy tactics, especially on a wall, but in other situations, it can give you some problems to do your decoy tactics on a wall. So be careful where to place your decoy tactics. I think this is everything to tell about. Yes, you can just increase the duration when you are getting them. They have 48 seconds, and with upgrade to the global age you get 4 additional seconds, and you can also upgrade the hit points of it. But that's something you quite saw, I'm quite sure. Guys, here I'm back with the loot farming video. I already showed this video before because of another tactic, but now we are focusing on the decoy tactic. Just watch carefully what is happening when I'm placing my decoys. I'm placing it right inside, and now you see Now you see, sorry, I stopped the video, sorry. Now you see, I placed my decoys right inside of the base. But because I placed it right inside here, exactly that happened what I told you. This bunker, which would be not in range of my ordinary troops, but now is in range of the decoys, starts spawning some troops. All of the mortars start firing. The towers are firing. This bunker is getting activated. Are there any more troops? I'm not quite sure, but I don't think the here the stable defenders are getting activated. So these decoys are getting some attention right inside of the base because I placed them over there, and because so many troops are firing on them. You see, the hit points are getting very, very, very fast down. So they are very fast dead. And now the 28,000, I think 20,000, 28,000 hit points of the decoys are completely killed, and the decoys are disappearing. That means that the decoy tactic will just last as long as the seconds from your upgrade, from your stage of research, or as long as their hit points are still alive. We are coming to our last special tactics, which are only available for some guys which have chosen the special world wonders, which gives this tactics available to you. And we see over here, whoa, that's quite wrong what I wrote over here. Industrial 5th upgrade. That's wrong. Just don't let yourself disturb by this. We see the strength of the Gladiator tactic, which is a very, very, very strong tactic. It has a range of 3. So again, a very close range. And we see it's giving your troops a boost, about plus 200 additional damage percent and plus 50% of attacking speed. That means in total that you get 50% more attacking speed and 200% more damage means you have 300% damage, and 50% more attacking speed means in total you have 450% of damage with your troops for a short period of time, and I mean exactly 12 seconds. So very strong boost I wrote down in my recommendation, and again, exactly like the protection, you can just use it perfectly after an area rally. Also, I wrote down probably in protection combo. Very many players, very strong players I know, are using this in that way. When you are rallying inside the walls for a world war attack and you are close to the town center, use first the protection combo to protect all of your troops from some shooting buildings, and then use the strength of the Gladiator combo to get all of your troops in the effect range of this strong tactic. And yes, then you will see the enemy base will just fly or just explode. There is one disadvantage: there's a very short duration of 12 seconds, and it's getting very, very fast over. You have access all 23 hours to this tactic, and you can just get it by the Colosseum. If you have the Colosseum, you can just stack this tactic. So when you have first earned or got one tactic from the Colosseum, and if you are waiting, there will spawn in 23 hours another tactic, and then you have 2 tactics available, because you can use the first one, and when you have used it, just instantly get the second tactic. Over here, we have my World War attack again. You see I'm using very many tactics of these I explained to you. And now when I'm rallying in, just put focus what I'm doing. I'm doing an area rally over here, like I told you. And first I'm using the protection spell to get every of my troops. Here I have all of my troops. And then I'm using quite, because on top of here is the town center. Here is a mortar, a bunker, some very essential and strong defensive buildings. And I want to get rid of them as fast as possible. And you see strength of Gladiator, the game is a little bit buggy, and now everything is just exploding right around. 12 seconds of pure insaneness when your troops are just getting mad and raging out. We are coming to our last special tactic, the Blitzkrieg tactic, getting available in the Industrial Age, but not by an upgrade. I again wrote it in the wrong way. You are just getting it by building the Brandenburg Gate as your 4th Industrial Age World Wonder. And you have again a duration of 13 seconds. No, the strongest Gladiator has only 12 seconds, but you have a range of 10. So look down at the picture. You have a very, very huge range. I think it's the tactic with the hugest range. And this tactic is very strong because it disables all defender spawning buildings. So only buildings are getting affected, which spawns some infantry, some tanks, some cavalry, some heavy tanks, some nation-specific troops from the command post, and even the town center, or even the castle with the generals. My recommendation or my summary, it has a very huge range to use, and it is very useful at locations in the enemy base where very many defender spawning buildings are. If the enemy is using an Acropolis or another defensive world wonder, which is boosting his defender spawning buildings, he has the intention to place most of his spawning buildings right next to the Acropolis, and when they are placed so focused at one place or at one location in the base, just make sure to see this location and just make a plan where it is the best way to use the Blitzkrieg tactic, because like I mentioned to you, only defender spawning buildings are getting affected, not shooting buildings. And there is also another very good point. When you are starting an attack, there is an initial spawning wave which is faster than all following spawning waves of the garrisons, tanks and stables and something like that. And I know very many players, me for example, sometimes too, which are attacking from a specific area to get rid of some bunkers, some tank depots or something like that in the very beginning of the attack, so that they are not keeping spawn some heavy defenders. And when you are using the Blitzkrieg tactic just in the beginning and destroying these essential defender spawning buildings before they can even produce the first wave of defenders, you are just getting rid of these buildings before they are doing anything against you. And so it can be very helpful if you use the Blitzkrieg tactic in the very beginning of an attack. There's one disadvantage, like I told you, it doesn't affect shooting buildings, only producing buildings, and there is only in relation to other tactics, a short duration of 14 seconds. Here we are again in the same World War attack, and you see the HQ is down. I have used my protection and my Strength of the Gladiator tactic after rallying right inside the base. And now when my troops are rushing forward, I'm recognizing, I think after destroying the fort, that I don't have used my Blitzkrieg tactic, and then I'm using it to avoid the last defender spawning buildings producing some more tanks and even heavy tanks before the attack is over. And now I'm using Blitzkrieg, I think. Now, and you see immediately these bunker and these garrison is getting stopped. If I would have used the Blitzkrieg further or former in this attack, it would be much more effective. But I only wanted to show you that how the Blitzkrieg is working for you. Guys and girls, hopefully this video was entertaining, informative and even helpful for you. If it was, please give me a thumb up, share this video, tell your alliance mate of my videos, because like I told you, I spent 6 hours in getting all of the graphics, the details and informations to provide it for you. Therefore, I would be really grateful or really thankful for you if you would give me a thumb up or something like that. We'll see you soon, your Domination Tips.